Hi, I'm Reva with Quality Sewing and Vacuum, and thank you for joining us today on our How Do I, and we're learning about zippers today. So I have a lot of different zippers to show you. So in working with zippers, they're actually really easy, and I know so many people are afraid of them. So we're going to talk about working with a centered zipper, a lapped zipper, an exposed zipper, putting a zipper in a bag, and an invisible zipper. So hopefully that will give you guys all some good confidence and some content that you can find useful in your sewing. Now, as we're going today, I want to ask you, please ask questions. Should you have any, I will do my best to answer them. And then, of course, as always on Facebook, like, comment, and share. We love that. We love it when you get more people into the conversation, and we appreciate your interaction there. So let's talk about different types of zippers. So we have, there is a, oops, dropped one. We have a standard zipper. That's only part of a zipper. You don't want that one. I'm gonna go back. I'm reaching, grabbing this guy. This is a zipper. I don't know if you've ever done this, but a lot of times I'll put in a zipper and I make a mistake, so I'll pull it out. Or this may have come in a project because you can see there's threads on there. I'll take zippers out of things sometimes. Now, not everything. It has to be a nice zipper. But I remember my grandmother would save all of the zippers and the buttons off of their clothes, but of course back then they wore their clothes until they were pretty much done, right? Okay, so this is a standard zipper that you will find today. It is a nylon coil zipper. So if you see the little teeth on here, let me zip it up so you can see. The zipper pull is metal. The little stops are metal, but if you can see this, that is a nylon coil. And what that does is it allows you to go ahead, well, it might be actually, I say nylon, it's a coil zipper, but so it might be polyester, but it gives you the ability to sew through it. Okay, because a zipper like this that you might recognize from your jeans, for example, this is a metal teeth zipper, and you cannot sew through those because your needle's going to hit it and it's going to break. They both are great zippers. One thing you'll find, just for a point of interest, on a zipper like this, it's considered a locking zipper. And that means that it won't come down by itself. Very important for your pants, right? So this little guy kind of has a it has to, there's some oomph you have to do to get the little pull up. See how that's stiff? And if you notice on your jeans, it probably has the same thing. If you have a pair of jeans or pants that the zipper doesn't stay up on, give it a try. I bet you it's not a locking zipper. So that's what keeps that from going down. So if it's down, I can't pull it, but if you lift it up, you can pull it down. Okay, so that's a locking metal zipper. This one is not locking. See how loose that top is? So it can come down with enough force. You could get it down, but they usually don't go down. Okay, but still not a good idea for your pants. Okay, then we also have something like this one right here. This one has plastic teeth as well, but it is called a separating zipper. So this one, when you unzip it, it comes all the way out and you have the two pieces. So this is something that you would want to put in a bag where you wanted it to come apart, or your coats. When you unzip your jacket, it comes out at the bottom. That's a separating zipper. You could put this in something where you don't want it to separate, so you could use the zipper if it's contained, so that's fine, but you can't use a regular zipper in place of a separating, because then you couldn't get your coat off without taking it over your head. Okay, so that's the difference between those two. You can also so now this is another metal zipper. This is a vintage metal zipper. I don't know how long. This was probably in my mom's sewing stuff, but it is not a locking zipper. See how the little tab moves so freely? So it is a metal zipper because that's what zippers used to be made out of, all of them, but it's not a locking zipper. Okay, just for a point of information. Now, there are also very pretty zippers. Look at this one. Isn't that cool? So again, this is not a locking zipper, but it is has the plastic little teeth, but it has the rhinestones on it. It is so pretty. I love this one. And it is a separating zipper as well. My plan is not to use this as a separating. Oh, this one has a, oh, it has the label is making it stuck. So I'm not planning on using this as a separating zipper, but wouldn't this be cool on a bag? I think so cool. Now here's another one that's really pretty. This one is also a separating zipper, but look at that tape. This would be perfect to use as an exposed zipper, and we're going to talk about that today too. Okay, but again, a plastic. These are plastic. See how they look like metal though? But they're actually plastic teeth. So only really denim jean zippers have metal teeth anymore. Most of them are a plastic or a polyester, but they have that metallic look. There's even really cool zippers for making bags that have a coil, but they're metallic as well, and they're so pretty. Then you have another style of zipper. Now zippers do come in different sizes. So if you look at how tiny this zipper is, and then you look at how big that zipper is, they're different sizes, and so different projects may call for different things. This is a garment zipper. This is an upholstery or a handbag zipper because it has bigger teeth. You could also use this for sportswear. Okay. Now this has coils instead of, where did he go? Like this one has the bracketed teeth, right? They may only go in one direction, as in the pulls. This is actually a zipper by the yard, and you can put the pulls going two different directions. I don't know if I can show you this. So that way, if you have a tote bag, you can actually open it both ways. And the zipper tape doesn't matter which direction you're putting it on either. And you are going to put the pull on yourself, because if you buy a zipper by the yard, whether it be from a handbag manufacturer like Sally Tomato or let's say Pam Demore for her home deck zippers, there's lots of different zippers. But if you buy them by the yard, they come with all the pulls all happy and living together, all in a clump, and then you have the yards and yards of zipper, and you cut off the amount of zipper that you need, and then you just make sure that you have your pulls. So if I want to use two pulls, I want to make sure they're within the area I'm going to cut, or else you're going to have to put the zipper pull back on yourself if you pull it off. Okay? All right. Now, if there's any questions, Carrie?
Yeah, Donna wants to know, are you going to be showing how to replace an existing zipper?
Ooh, I didn't think about that. I did not bring anything to rip out. So not really, but I'll try to touch on that when we talk about installing it, okay? So hopefully, because uninstalling and reinstalling is not, it just takes more patience, and it's simply a matter of unsewing in reverse. So if you do step A, B, C, to take it out, you gotta go C, B, A, put the new zipper in, and then go back. Okay, so hopefully I can give you the confidence to do that, but I didn't. That's a good idea, and I didn't even think about that. So, but if there's any other questions, please ask. Now there is one more zipper I want to show you, and that is this one. This is called an invisible zipper. You can't even see the teeth. So this is meant to be put into primarily a garment where the fabric comes right up to the edge and you don't see the zipper at all. So I'm going to show you how to put that in too. I'm not promising at this moment that they're all going to look perfect, but hey, you'll know what to do, right? Okay. All right, so let's talk about the different types of zippers. I'm going to start with a centered zipper, if I can find my centered zipper. Okay, so this is, I got a lot of lint. This is a centered zipper. It's a traditional for a dress or a skirt that has the little lap on both sides, and see how it's centered in between those two, right? So that's a centered zipper. So let's look at that. The first thing that we're going to do with that is you're going to take your fabric. So if it's let's say it's a blouse back, you would take the two back pieces, stitch them together with your seam allowance, and press them open. Okay, so you want your seam pressed open. You with me on that? Okay, So now we're gonna come over here. I'm gonna move all of my mess and my junk, and we're gonna try to get in here. And let me move this stuff to the other side, and maybe we're gonna be good. Okay, so now since I have all this stuff laid out here, I may as well kind of tell you what it is, because we're pretty much going to be using this stuff today, or it's an option to use. I love friction pens because it helps me mark, and then it comes off with the heat of an iron. So I really like that. I do have a seam ripper, and this is just a little one. It's a one that we had. It's a seam fix. It has this little rubbery tip on it. And so that way you can get your little thread tails off, and it works really well. But it's also a very nice little seam ripper. So we're going to use that. I have my Quilter Select glue stick, and it's almost running out, and it's been well loved. So actually, I guess since it's out, I should just change that now. They're really simple to change. All you do is take the refill, pop it right on top, pull it out, and then you just wind it down. So these glue sticks are really awesome. I love the glue. It's quick drying, and it is it's bright yellow until you use it, and then once it dries, it's kind of clearish white color. And I'm going to put that in there. These little containers actually make great disposal vehicles for used needles, or as a needle case for handwork. Okay, then I also have here, I have the Embroidery Perfection tape, affectionately known as pink tape. It is fabric safe, very sticky tape, so we could use that for securing our zippers. We also have the double-sided wash away tape. This is the Stitch Perfection tape, and it is water soluble. I tend to use glue. You notice that there are no pins out here because we're not going to use any pins, because yeah, who wants to do that? Okay, and then also I have the hot ruler. This is very handy. It has all the markings that you need to see, but it is heat capable. It's capable of holding heat, or not melting under an iron. So okay, so we're going to do the lap zipper, and this is the right side, and here's my seam. Okay. So I'm going to flip it over to the back side here, and I'm going to find where I put my zipper. That's not the zipper I was going to use, but it may be the one I am going to use. I think it's the one I am going to use. Okay, so what we want to do with the zipper is we're going to place it right side down to the wrong side of the fabric, because we're going to stitch it in place, and then when you turn it back over and you are ready to use the zipper, the right side is out. So we want the right sides facing the same way. So both right sides are down. So what you want to do is place the center of the zipper along the seam that you have pressed open. Now, the reason why we're not using pins is because every time you pin, it makes a divot, and then that divot will cause you to have a buckle in your fabric. Okay, and remember, if you have any questions, just ask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this zipper toward the top of my project, right? Because I want it to zip down, and I have it placed there, but I'm not sure if it's in the right place yet, but that's okay, because I am going to peel this back, and I have the zipper tape aligned with the seam, and I'm just going to run some glue right along there, and I'm going to just carefully roll it back so it's in line. Hold it there for a second. It dries really quickly. And then I'm going to do the same with the top there. Now at the top, you look at that, I didn't put enough glue on. Good grief. You know, it's all good until you get there to do it in real, right? Okay, so I'm going to center that again, and this time I'm not going to be impatient. I'm going to just give it a couple of seconds, make sure it is secured. And at the top, I'm going to bring those in a little bit because they're being pushed out by the zipper head. So I'm going to kind of fan that out or push it in a little bit. Okay, now we're going to reverse it. And I'm going to peel this back, add some more glue here, and run it down the center. And a lot of people will use like a kid's craft glue, but please be careful with that because sometimes they're not designed to dry very quickly and you'll just gum up your needle and it makes a mess. I remember one time my kids were doing an art project at school and they had the glue sticks from school and it was a purple one. That stuff never dried. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way down there. I'm only going to do a partial zipper. It's okay if your project calls for a 7-inch zipper and you only have a 12-inch zipper, you can use it because you can just cut it off. But you can't use a 7-inch zipper if your project calls for a 12-inch zipper. That doesn't work. Okay, so now this is all stuck down. It's going to be held in place just perfectly. So now we get to sew it. So let's talk about zipper feet.
Reva, before you go on, someone asked, what was the name of the glue again that you were using?
Oh, this is the Quilter Select fabric glue stick.
Thank you.
And it comes with 2 refills, and then you can just buy refills after that. Okay, so we're going to stitch this down. Now let's talk about zipper feet because you need to use a zipper foot to sew your zippers in most cases. Oh, one more zipper I didn't show you, and I meant to. You can get these really pretty ones. We actually have these on our website. It's a Kimberbell lace edge zipper. How fun is that? Now, obviously, this is going to be an exposed zipper. It's not going to be inset like we're doing there because you want that beautiful lace trim to show. Okay. All right, so zipper feet. This is probably one that looks very familiar to you. This is a standard style zipper foot. Okay, and you notice it looks a little bit like a shoe and it has the little divots on either side, and that's where the needle goes. So then it is designed to ride right up alongside the needle, so the needle is just inside the edge of the foot, and the foot will ride along the zipper. Okay, so that what that does is it gives, well, that's not going to work. What it does is it will give your needle enough distance from the teeth so it doesn't sew the fabric too close where it won't open and close. Okay, but it's very narrow, so it allows you to use that zipper as a guide, so it helps you get a straight stitch. Now this looks like a normal one, and a lot of feet are like this. This one actually happens to have a Teflon back to it, so if you're sewing with cork, faux leathers and leather, this would be a good one because it's going to slide. Okay, so that is the Teflon zipper foot. And then another style that is very, very common for people, let's see if you can't even really see that. It goes on where the screw is and it adjusts left or right. And it's important that you can use your zipper foot on either left or right stitches, because if you're going one way or the other, you need to have the ability to shift the location of your foot. Okay. This foot here is called a narrow zipper foot, and this one is a Viking foot. And how it goes on like this, and there's your little divot for your sewing. So you have the needle hole there, and then you have the edge, and then you can turn it around and sew on the opposite side. So this is 2 feet, 2 sides in one, and it has grooves on the back so it can kind of ride along the groove of your zipper. This one would probably be really good for invisible zippers. Okay, another foot, this is the Foff zipper foot, and he looks like this. And the flat part does go in front. A lot of times people think that this particular zipper foot goes that way, but it does not. This part faces you. These slots here are designed for the dual feed that's built in. And then you see the notches here for the needles. So you have a lot of different needle adjustments that you can make here. And this one, you either put it on one way to use it on the left, and then you take it off and slide it over and you can use it on the right. So that's really cool. And then in a little bit, we're going to be talking about an invisible zipper. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But we're going to put this on the machine. So over here we come. So to take the foot off, I'm going to hold my fingers on the back of the foot, and then I push down the front. And that's how you get a Foff foot off. And then this one, I'm going to be sewing on let's think about this for a second. I want to sew along this side of my zipper. So I want my foot to be where this is the side for the needle. So I want this side to go on the machine. So I'll put the foot down there, and I didn't aim very well. You can go the other side? Okay. Catch you back over here. There we go. Okay. So our foot is on there. All right. So we're going to stitch just along here, and we're going to use those teeth as a guide. Okay. And just remember that we have that the zipper pull right up here. Okay. Now before we get started, I am going to thread the needle because, you know, it is nice to have a needle threaded before we start sewing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slip my fabric underneath here. And when you're doing a zipper like this, in fact, let me just back up a second. My goal on a lap zipper is not to get as close as I can. Look how tight I can get to those teeth. I don't want to get that close because then there's no lap, right? And on a lap zipper, the center lap zipper, you want to have some lap here. If I sewed right up on the edge of the fabric, I'd have this little tiny piddly thing, and it would stand up, it wouldn't lay down, it wouldn't close the zipper, it would look horrible. And in traditional ways, this should be an ivory zipper to match the ivory fabric. Okay, if you want it to stand out, then by all means, you do what makes you happy, and feel free to do something more decorative. That's always cool, right? So I'm going to pull up my straight stitch, and we're just going to get going. So in here, oh, I do have the projected guideline on this machine turned on. This is the new Icon 2 from Fox. But I'm just going to sew straight down, and I want to maintain a consistent distance down as far as I need to go. And I do have my needle down, so when I stop at the end of the zipper, I want to pivot. Now let's look at a zipper here. That's not the one I want to look at. Let's look at this one. So if you notice, this down here is called a zipper stop. It's what's going to keep the head from sliding off. It stops the zipper from coming apart. So what you want to do when you're sewing is you want to make sure that you sew across before you get to the metal stop. Obviously, you're not going to be able to sew through the metal, and you don't want it to show. So you want to come before the zipper stop. So wherever you need to stop your zipper, you're going to do so. You're going to pivot your fabric, and then you're going to sew across. And then we're going to sew back up the other side. Now, to Donna's question about putting in a different, replacing a zipper, if you were working with a pair of pants, that bottom section down there, it's usually curved, and there's usually a bar tack. So you're going to need to unpick that fairly carefully so you don't damage the fabric itself. Okay, and as I'm coming up here, I'm aiming a little bit of an angle toward that head, just because I know that it's actually going to pull away from me, and I don't want it to be a Y at the top, which I might have just gotten anyway. I want it to look straight. Okay, well, that's not bad. So there's my centered zipper. So now how we're going to fix this into a functioning zipper is we now need to remove the stitches that are there, and that's where your seam ripper comes in. So just find your stitches, and if you don't have a sharp seam ripper, or you're not comfortable doing that, then just start at the top and pick one by one down to the bottom, and then we have our zipper exposed. So I'm going to take out those last couple stitches, and now we have our functioning zipper. So I could use my seam fix and just get rid of those little stitches if you want to, and get rid of all that. And now you have your centered zipper. Yay! Okay. And of course, if this was your real project, you would simply cut that off on the back. I wouldn't cut it right at the stitches. I would leave it at least a quarter to a half an inch away. All right. So that's a centered zipper.
Okay. So Donna wants to know, how would the lace edges show with the red zipper? Is that something you're going to be showing?
well, let's look at that. Let's pretend that this is the fabric I want to put. Maybe I want a dress and I want this zipper on the back of the dress. You could do that. What you would do is I would baste it together like we did for the centered zipper, just so we had a nice smooth straight line. And then you could use the glue stick, glue it into place just like this. And then in top stitching, you're going to run one stitch along. Let's see if you can see. I would put one stitch along where you normally would, but then I would probably run with maybe a clear thread out here so that when it's worn or on a bag, it's not going to curl. But I would do a stitch right straight, just anchoring those little caps down. Okay, and then the bottom, you wouldn't just chop it off and leave a raw edge, so you may need to fold it under to get it to be enclosed, or do a cute little fabric patch like a triangle or something to cover the raw edge at the bottom. Does that, I hope that helps, Donna, because it's a really cute zipper, so it'd be really fun to do that. Okay, and if that didn't answer your question, then please let me know. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is a side lapped or a non-centered zipper. So let me get my foot back out, take my zipper foot off, and I'm just going to get my regular foot. Where did I put it? Here it is. I love snap on and off feet. They're so awesome. Okay, so this is a single lapped zipper. So this would be done on a nice dress, a skirt, whatever you might want to do there. So this one is different. It's similar to the center lap zipper, but it only has the one. Okay, so this one I got to make sure my iron is on. So Carrie, we're going to do some backing and forthing, I'm afraid. Or actually, you know what I'll do? Let's do this. I will angle that and I'll bring the iron to you. How about that? Okay, so what I've done here on this fabric, this is put together a little bit differently. We have our two pieces of fabric. This is the top, this is the bottom. And you're going to put them right sides together, and you want to sew your seam up to where you want your zipper to stop. And I made a mark there. That's not thread, that's actually an ink pen of where I wanted that to stop. So the thread actually stops right there. I did not turn the corner. Okay? So I've sewn partial seams. So in a garment, you're traditionally using a 5/8 inch seam allowance. And then but this one we're leaving the top open. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to use my hot ruler, lift it off, and I'm going to use a pressing mat, because what I want to do is on the leg or the side that I'm going to use, on one side is going to be stitched right up against the zipper, okay? And the other one has a bigger lap over on it. I don't know, I hope you saw that okay. So what I'm going to do is from the back side here, I'm going to take my hot ruler and I want to fold up the fabric so I have about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I want to make sure I'm even with where I stopped sewing. And I'm just going to have that come right up there. And I'm going to grab my iron and just press that. I really like this iron. I have one by my sewing machine. So that way, when I need to do little things like this, I don't have to jump up and run across the room. Of course, iron calisthenics is always good for you, right? Okay, so I've done the 1/2 inch there. On the side that I want to lap over, this is actually too small, because see how it just barely covers the teeth, and I need to have a lap that is big enough to cover and go across and cover up the stitches on the other side so the stitches are not visible. Again, you would use, in tradition, you would use a self-colored zipper, so ivory, and matching thread, so you wouldn't see it. Okay, so on the opposite side, I want to go up more instead of a consistent 1/2 inch, I want to start at the seam allowance there, and I'm going to come up to about 5/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more, and we're going to press that. But see how that gives us a bigger seam allowance, and you actually need a little bit more. That you need that 5/8 of an inch up at the top, because you got to also cover that zipper head. So that's a little bit different on the lap zipper. Okay, and I'm going to just let that cool for a second so it'll hold its crease. Okay, all right, so now I have my left side and my right side. Okay. So I'm going to do a similar thing there, but this time I'm going to work more with the top up. So I'm going to place my zipper on here. I got to find where my end is. I want to have it above. Remember, I don't want to stitch across the metal, so I'm going to scooch it up a little bit, and I am going to use that glue stick. Now, if you preferred, you could use the Stitch Perfection tape, and you could run the tape down there, and then that will hold it as well. I'm really digging this glue stick, so I'm going to use it, and I'm just going to put that on there. Now, this one, I'm going to aim the folded edge of the fabric to be just like a 1/16 of an inch away from that zipper, center zipper tape. Can you see on the zipper, you have the zipper there, and then there's this little woven fabric that's holding those coils in place. So, because this is a coiled zipper, so I need that to be a little bit away from it, because when we stitch, if that fabric is right up on it, it could get caught up underneath the pull in the head, and then it gets stuck, and no one likes having a stuck zipper. So I'm going to also take, and I unzipped him so I could get this placed on straight. Okay, all right, and you know, I put my regular foot back on, but I really need my zipper foot, and we'll stitch him on. Okay, and if you have any questions, please feel free to write those in the comment box, and we will get that. I can't do that from the side. I'm going to do it the other way. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch this down. Move him out of the way. And what you're going to do, this is kind of a 2-step process. So I'm going to put my foot down. I simply have my zipper foot in center. I'm sorry, my machine is set with the foot, the needle in the center needle position. And I'm just going to stitch, and then I'm going to ride the edge of that foot right along that tape. Now, when I'm getting close to the head, I'm going to stop, and I activate your needle down, so that way when you stop, you're on that same path. Then we're going to close that zipper up. Okay, and get past. That way we don't have to sew around that head, the zipper pull. And we're going to sew down. And I've got him a little bit close. There we go. And then when we get down to the bottom, I'm just going to do a little reverse stitch and then cut the thread. And then now it's time for glue again. Yay, glue. Okay, so I'm going to take the glue, and we're going to start at the bottom, and then I'm going to find my fold. Let me do it this way so you can see. So I have glue on the tape, but I'm going to find the fold, and I'm just going to take the fold and have it kind of go over, so it's a little bit over that the stitching, so the stitching doesn't show. And of course, what are you going to do? Traditionally, you would have a self-colored zipper, and you'd use matching thread. So in this case, it would be ivory for both. Okay. And this one, I'm going to keep doing the same thing. Now, the challenge is when you get to the head, we're going to pull it down when we sew it, so we don't have to worry about that being the way for that. However, remember, this is a little bit wider here than it was here as far as our seam allowance. And the reason why is you want to give it a little bit extra up here, so that way when it's stitched, it won't flop open and show your zipper. So this actually, you'll have a little bit more fabric up here on the lap than you did down there. So if you notice, this is wider up here than it is down there, just ever so slightly. Okay. All right. So now we're going to make sure that we start sewing. I can feel right here is my metal, so I do not want to sew on the metal. I want to sew toward the top above the metal, and I'm going to take a stitch and then I'm going to reverse to lock that in, and then I'll go forward, and then we'll stop, pivot. I didn't go far enough. Pivot again. There we go. And now we'll just maintain our consistent straight line up to the top. And I'm going to stop here and raise my foot so I can lower that zipper so I don't have the zipper pull in the way of the stitching. Okay. And then remember, you're going to give it it's going to end up a little bit wider at the top than it was on the downside. Okay. So this is a lapped zipper, and it has just one side that laps over. Okay. All right. I hope that makes sense. So that's those two zipper styles. Then, and back to Donna's point or question about the lace zipper. So the lace zipper, we would have this be, you know, just stitched right on. Same thing with a decorative where you want to have an exposed zipper. You would just make sure that your edges are straight. You don't have to stitch them together necessarily on something like this. You could have them farther apart, but I would still glue them so they're adhered to the fabric straight, and then you just top stitch. Okay, so if this was the edge we wanted to use for a lap zipper, I would turn it toward the right side and put the zipper on top and then stitch it into place, and probably do a stitch here and here because it's wide. Then when you turn it over, it's going to have a clean back side. Okay. All right, let's talk about an invisible zipper. Let's see if I can find my bits and pieces. Where did I put them? Back here? Okay. So let's talk about an invisible zipper now. So an invisible zipper is my bright green one. Where did he go? Did he fall on the floor? For Pete's sakes. Bear with me while I find my bright green zipper. It's bright green. One would think I could see it. Aha, it is on the floor. Behind the table. Okay. Okay, the difference on an invisible zipper is that you're going to sew it independently one side at a time, and the goal is to have the zipper be invisible, hence the name. I mean, seriously, that was really revolutionary, wasn't it, that I said that? But we're going to treat it a little bit different. We have this little foot here, and this is the invisible zipper foot, and what it's designed to do is it has, I don't know if you can see, there's two grooves in the zipper, and that is to hold the teeth. Now, I have my two pieces of fabric and they're not stitched together at all. On my zipper, what I want to do is unzip it, turn it right side down, and the back side kind of looks like a normal zipper. That's where it has the coils. And we're going to iron those coils flat. So let me get one side done, and then I'm going to show you the difference between, it's going to be subtle, but this is going to really help in creating the zipper as you need it to be. Okay. Okay, so basically what you need to do is unroll, because the zipper, an invisible zipper, rolls to the back tape, so that way the teeth are kind of inverted and they go to the back. So what I just did, and let's take a look at that. Can you see how this is the back of the zipper? And what I did is I unrolled it like that and ironed that flat. So here is the zipper. See how flat that is compared to this one? Okay, you feel like you've ruined the zipper, but you haven't, because once you zip it back up, it will work just fine. So I do want to do that on the other one, the other side as well. So let me get that real quick. So now, invisible zippers, when would you use these besides a nice dress or a skirt? Well, or a dress pant. You can use them for all those things, but another thing is if you want to put kind of a hidden pocket in the lining of a jacket, like a parka, or maybe if you like to make handbags and you want to put a little side seam zipper in, you could totally do that. So let me snap on my foot and get this little guy on. Oh, you know what? Okay, good. I thought I had my dual feet on. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one piece of fabric. And so here is my zipper. Now this is the right side, and now if you can see here, see, this is the way it normally is and you can't see the teeth. I have pressed it so you can see the teeth. So I'm going to put right sides together on this one here. So there's my edge. I had to look at it so I could see it. And I am going, it's slippery. I'm going to find my glue. Maybe I'm going to find my glue. And let me just run a piece just a little bit down here just to hold it into place. Okay. When you're sewing, do you guys lose stuff too? Tell me in the comments so I don't feel so either I need to work on it, or I'll feel like you're part of the same community I'm in. Okay, so now I have that tacked down, and again, the reason why I'm not using pins is it would cause a pucker in either the fabric or in the actual zipper itself. So now I have that groove. This point here is the center. I have a groove on the left and a groove on the right. I want the groove on the left to go around that those teeth, and hold it into place just like a piping foot would, right? And then I have it just on a center straight stitch, and I'm just going to stitch. And the beautiful thing is that the zipper itself rides in that groove, so I don't have to really even aim. Okay, so I'm going to get down here as far as I want to go, and I'll say that's good. So I'm going to cut the thread. Now what we're going to do is do the same thing on the other side. So let's do a little, not math really, but I'm going to measure down how far I went. And so let me start with 1.
Both Lynette and Christine said they lose things.
Thank you, Lynette and Christine. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Lena or Lynette?
Lena.
Oh, Lena. Oh, hello, Lena. So I was about a 6 1/4. Yeah, I lose stuff all the time. Of course, I lose it on camera. Huh. Do you remember that time I lost the quilting foot? I get people remind me of that all the time. Okay, so this is the right side of the zipper. So I want to put the fabric face down on that. So I'm going to go ahead and run my glue first, which I don't have enough showing. There we go. So there's my glue, and I'm going to kind of eyeball it so it's next to that one, so I get the fabric. Of course, if you were doing this in a real project, you would mark better than I am, because I'm only eyeballing, right? Okay, so there's that. Now I want to stop sewing. Let me put it. I'm going to put it on the other side, so I'm crossing over for a second there. So here is this, and I stopped sewing there, so I want to stop sewing about there. Okay, now this time I'm sewing on the opposite side of the zipper, so I'm going to put the no, I'm not. I'm doing it the same way. It just feels backwards. Okay, so I'm going to just sew, and I'm going to have that groove go in the teeth, and I don't think it is. Hold on. I don't think I got it in that groove. There we go. Okay. And I've obviously hung up on some fabric. There we go. All right, so I'm going to stitch down to where I made the mark, and then I'm going to just cut my thread. Now, here's the cool part. We're going to zip it up and you're going to see that even though we ironed it flat, it's going to come back. So there we go. So now when we zip it up, it's an invisible zipper there. And here's where I have a thread stuck in there. There we go. So now we have an invisible zipper. Now we have to close up. Woohoo, you cannot wear it like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to move the zipper out of the way. And you have your seam allowance here. Let me put my regular foot back on. So we have our seam here, and we're going to pull that zipper out of the way, and you can see where we stopped, right? So what we're going to do is just sew the regular seam that your pattern calls for. And we're going to aim. Can you see where it stopped right there? We're going to aim for that spot. Man, this projection sure helps me know where I'm going, doesn't it? That's pretty cool. So you're going to come up to there and you're going to reverse it and cut your thread. And you may not be able to meet it exactly. Oh, I got really close, but that's okay. Because when you open it back up, you're going to cut this extra zipper off. You open it back up, and then you have a beautifully installed zipper that is, you cannot see. So, and of course, you're going to do two things, right? You're going to use, oh, and open, you got to press those seams open. So you're going to use self-colored zipper, most likely, which means ivory, and matching thread, which means ivory. But even though we had pressed this zipper to the, to the wrong side, or we pressed it, the teeth, so they didn't curl in anymore, you still got it. And I was overzealous on closing on the back side, so that's why I have that. If you do a better job, you won't have that. So there's your little invisible
Donna,
zipper.
if you're having problems with the feed, try logging out of Facebook and log back in.
Okay.
Fran did have a question.
Yes, Fran.
Why did you sew the second side with the zipper down instead of using the other groove on the foot?
Oh, thanks. That was a good. Now, who was that? Who said that?
Fran Hunt.
Fran, that's a good question. Did you see me hesitate there? Because I thought I was going to use the other one. That's why. Is because it's because I did. I was thinking I was going to use the other side of the zipper foot, but yeah, I guess it must be a subliminal habit to have the fabric one direction than another. So I don't know. I probably would have sewn it face up if I had been thinking. So good question, but it worked, right? So, okay, so those are those basic types of zippers. The last thing I wanted to show you, and of course, if you have any questions, please feel free, but I wanted to talk about getting a zipper put in a bag. Okay. So if you see, this is a zipper. You very easily could make this an exposed zipper, which means you could just lay it on top, right? But this is an encased zipper, but it's not, you're not even really using a zipper foot, so it's really easy to do. So this is going to be the outside of our bag, our pretend bag, and this will be our lining of our pretend bag. Okay. So when you're doing a zipper like that, that's exposed, or for a bag, we're going to take our bag front. Okay. Now, if this is my bag front, I want my zipper pull to be to the left. Okay. And I want right sides down. So you're just simply going to place it so the zipper teeth, or the tape, and the teeth are down to your fabric. Then you take your lining piece and you're going to put that right here. Now I am going to unzip it because working around that pull is difficult to do, and I highly suggest that you use a zipper longer than your bag if possible, but this is just a sample. My fabric isn't even the same place. So you're going to line everything up, and what I should be using is quilt clips, but I forgot to grab them, so therefore I'm not, and I'm going to move I'm using the regular foot, but I am going to use the needle over to the left a little bit. I'm going to go over. Oh my goodness, I made the length this 0. So let me change that. Let me move the needle position over. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to ride the edge of the foot along the zipper tape. And it will be good. And I should have my dual feet on here. Oh, forgive me, I'm stuck on the top of the zipper. Good job, Reva. Okay, let me see if I can get that positioned a little bit better. I know this happens to you. Okay. All right, off we go. So you're putting both sides together at the same time, and now that I'm halfway, I'm going to stop and I'm going to zip that zipper up to get that zipper pull out of the way. Relayer and align all 3 pieces of fabric, and again, the quilt clips work really great at this juncture. Okay, now that's the front side. So now we're going to press. Okay, so we're going to press the one side here, and then press this direction. Okay, so now it's nice and flat. And then a lot of times you may want to just do a quick top stitch right there. Get that zipper pull out of the way. And you might do this all at the same time. When you have 2, you have both of them, both sides to do at the same time. And you can do that however close or however far. You can even do it with a cute decorative stitch. Okay, so now let's do the other side. I mainly did that right now is because I wanted to keep that out of my way, and I didn't do a very good job, but that's okay. All right, so now again, right sides together, matching that tape. Let me unzip my zipper. And then on the other side, we're going to place this one. All right. So now we're simply going to stitch that just like we did the last one, lining up. You know what, though? I am seeing, maybe I'll start at the back side. That's what I'm going to do. I want to make sure my fabrics are even. And I don't think I was being very successful at that. Right sides together. There we go. Okay. So I'm starting at the bottom because I don't have that zipper pull in the way. So I can get that going. Let me make sure I got all my fabric lined up. So how many of you were afraid of zippers? I know my mom hated zippers. She always had a friend of mine's mom would always put in zippers for her and do buttonholes because my mom was afraid of them. And I think that depends on what you learn in school. And if you start just putting in zippers and you're not afraid of them, it's just something new, they're really easy. So were any of you taught to be afraid of zippers? Kind of like in school or the first machines we learned to sew on, they said, don't touch that tension dial. But it's okay to adjust your tension. Okay, so that's good. And then we'll flip it the other way. The orange is kind of cute with the purple, isn't it? All right. And then you could just simply top stitch that. And then you have either, if you wanted to make this into a total bag, you would take your lining piece and your top piece and run them like that and stitch around the whole perimeter, making sure that you left that unzipped a little bit, but stitch all the way around and leave a hole to turn it right side out, and then you have a little zipper bag. But if you do that, make sure your lining and your outer pieces are all the same size. So that's how easy it is to put a zipper in there too.
So Fran wanted to know if you had any tips for inserting zippers in knit fabrics. She always seems to have hers come out wavy.
Oh, that's a really good question. They make a tape. I think it might be called stay tape. I'm not sure. It's like a sheer, it kind of looks like organza, but it's a strip of fabric that's finished. It's not raw on the edges, and it's not on bias, that you put underneath. You put that in with the fabric. So if you want to use things that are normal for for today, if you were to use your glue stick, right? Because you know how we attach this in many cases to your fabric, right? If you were to use your fabric glue on there and glue the knit onto there in place, the zipper's not going to move. It won't stretch. So if you adhere your knit to the zipper tape, it's not going to move. Kind of the same thing as that sheer piece that you put in there is it doesn't shift. So but you have to get it secured too. Okay, so if you secure your fabric, another thing that you can do if you have like the Wet and Gone tacky, this is awesome stuff. They actually make, we're not by it, but R&K Floriani makes a tape, and it's about a half inch like this, but it's made of a stabilizer called Wet and Gone, and it has a sticky side to it, so it's like tape. So you could run that along the knit edge, right? And it would stick, and it doesn't stretch. So then, you run that along the edge, and it's not this tape. I'm just giving you this as an example because it's white, and it wouldn't stretch then, and then you could use it more like a normal fabric, and then that tape washes out once it's laundered. That would be a really good way to keep it from being wavy. It also would be good for doing buttonholes on knits, because that can tend to be wavy too. So if you make it not be wavy, then or not be stretchy. So using Wet and Gone tacky, whether the big roll for embroidery, it turns your knits into more of a woven property, so it doesn't stretch like regular knits do. So the same thing with the tape, the Wet and Gone sticky tape. And like I said, it comes in about a half inch wide roll. So that would be probably the easiest thing to do, and the most trustable. Yeah. Okay.
Fran said, thanks for that. Diane said that she hated doing them until invisible zippers came out, and she finds those the easiest.
Aren't they easy? And how many people are really intimidated by an invisible zipper? But really, they're so easy to put in. Just press them flat first, and then they're a breeze. They're a breeze. And look for that invisible zipper foot from the manufacturer that you have, because it makes life really, really simple and easy. And so, Diane, back to, or was it Donna who wanted to unsew? So if you have a zipper that you want to take out and replace, if this were that zipper, which it's probably more like, it might be more like a jean zipper, which would be a single lap zipper, right? A jean zipper is this style, but it has a curve to it, right? So what you're first going to do is carefully unstitch the top stitching. And then usually there is another stitch that's securing the zipper to the fabric. So you may need to unstitch that too. So just be relaxed and know it's going to take some time, and be prepared to just take your time with it, and don't let it get you frustrated, right? Because you're working with matching thread and everything usually, so that can be really difficult. And get yourself a good seam ripper, and just one stitch at a time, and it will go faster than you think. But if you prepare your mind to think that it's going to take you a while, then it won't be a bother. Then all you do is watch the mechanics as you take it apart, and just redo the same way it was done. So it's not that hard.
So a question came in is, what is the name of that foot again? I'm not sure which foot, but I'm guessing the clear one.
The clear one? Are you talking about, okay, let's talk about the two different feet. This one and all of these are zipper feet, right? These are zipper feet. That's what we used. This one's a narrow zipper foot, so it's more like this one. The clear one is an invisible zipper foot, and this narrow zipper foot is about the same thing. It has the grooves on the back side and everything for the invisible zipper to go into. So it depends on what you have. Now, most machines come with a zipper foot. I don't even know really of any. We don't have any that we sell that don't come with a zipper foot. But if yours didn't, you can always get another one. Or if your cat played with it and it fell down the heater vent, that happens. We sell zipper feet, so you can always get a replacement for your zipper foot. But make sure. Um, Check to see about getting a zipper foot that was made for your machine, because it's going to work in an optimum way. So like this is a very, very unique foot, and it is an awesome foot to use for this machine. So it would be most beneficial to use the foot designed for this as opposed to a generic foot. Generic feet don't always perform like the feet that were made for your machine. Okay, so have fun with that. An invisible foot, I don't think comes with any sewing machine, so this would be an extra purchase.
And then Joe was asking how to find the How Do I videos on the website. And Joe, I'm going to answer that for you because we changed it last week.
Oh, so I give you the wrong answer then.
Exactly. So if you go to the website, qualitysewing.com, on the right-hand side, you're going to see where it says inspiration. Click on the inspiration. In the drop-down menu, you'll see How Do I? Click on that and it'll take you to the entire video series. So, and that'll link you over to our YouTube page where all of these videos live. So hopefully that helps.
Well, that's good information. I would have told her the wrong thing. But speaking of YouTube, maybe in a little while you might see a live video from YouTube coming through where we'll be using zippers, but it's more than that too. So come visit us over there. I wouldn't say immediately, but maybe very shortly. And of course, you can always catch that on the replay. So thanks for joining us, and remember to like and thumbs up or like, share and comment and do all that sort of stuff, so that way your friends also know that they can come see some fun stuff. But before we go, let's make sure there's no more questions.
Well, I was just going to say, Reva, if they had something they wanted to learn from you,
oh, please.
How would they do that?
Oh, please. Yes, please. If there's anything that you are interested in us doing on a How Do I series, or something that you would like to see, you can put that in the comments. And then you can also, should they just email info@qualitysewing.com?
If they email marketing@qualitysewing.com, then it'd get to the right place.
Okay, there you go. So, and if you can't spell marketing, send it to info. But yeah, send it to marketing@qualitysewing.com. And because we'd love your ideas, we want to make sure that we're giving you things that are fun to watch and informational. And like I said, you might just see something else on YouTube. So we look forward to seeing you over there, and have a great day.